Okay, welcome back. We're up to turn 5. This is the 1600 4 p.m. turn of Across the Rappahannock, Battle of Fredericksburg for my 160th anniversary playthrough of the Battle of Fredericksburg. So we're up to turn 5, as I said, 4 o'clock. Situation is this. The critical part of the field is what you're looking at right here. The 9th Corps, Wilcox's Corps, has actually achieved a breakthrough up here and captured 1, 2, 3, 4 hexes of the Telegraph Road. All right. This is the Telegraph Road heading down this way over here. This is the railroad line that comes out heading towards the west. So they've captured 4 hexes, and that actually gives them a victory. A very, very minor victory, but it's a victory. So it's kind of turned a little bit where the Confederates are going to now have to start attacking a little bit, and they do have some reserves back here coming in from the southwest along the Telegraph Road in the form of Taliaferro's division from Jackson's 2nd Corps. They're coming up to meet them and attack over here. Meanwhile, hopefully back in here and back over here that Pickett and McLaws can hold the line here long enough for them to get up, Taliaferro to get up and into attack position and start trying to push them back. Meanwhile, for the Union, it's all about holding the ground as much as they can, reinforcing that ground, maybe even expanding it a little bit, and also pushing up over Marye's Heights a little bit more. They've successfully attacked the initial line here and actually taken the stone wall here and here. And Anderson has moved units up to counter that and try to stop them from getting there, because they're very close to another victory hex right here. They're only 2 hexes away from that if they can break through, as well as another one down here where Hardway's artillery is located. So the key part of the fight is going to be down here. Secondarily to this, we have Jackson's fight up here, trying to push back the 1st Corps and hit into the 6th Corps. Now the 1st Corps has some real problems over here as D.H. Hill's units engage them across here. Early's come up attacking over here as well, and that then allowing Pickett to swing to his left and attack Smith's division over here as well. This has allowed the freeing up of Taliaferro to move up over to the flank, as we showed you before. And now I'm thinking possibly even loosening up Hood to provide some reserve to counterattack over there as well. So kind of interesting in terms of where things are set up. We've only activated 2 of the 3 grand divisions to attack, the ones that are across the river, the 2nd and the 9th and the 6th and the 1st. The other one, the 5th and the 3rd, remain across river, and that will stay that way because we do have some restrictions in terms of units that can move. We can only activate 2 grand divisions, and we can only activate a total of 6 activations per turn for the Union. So a little bit of a hamstring. They do have artillery. We've tried to reposition some of them to help the 1st Corps down here, as well as trying to reposition some to the south to provide a backstop in case something happens to the 2nd and the 11th Corps back here. So with that, I think we'll come back and go to our first activation. And I'm going to play that through like I've been doing. I'm going to play that through and then bring you back when we're done. And the first activation is going to be, if you can see it here, if it'll focus, Wilcox. And he'll be going first, so that's going to be this set of units over here. Now I think, just as a little bit of a preview of what you're going to see with this, a lot of these you can see are disordered, here, here, and here, 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 and here. It's going to be some repositioning, some a little bit of artillery in here, but it should go pretty quick. So I'll be back with you in just a little bit with the results. Okay, back after Wilcox's move. As I said, not much went on here. A little bit of artillery firing, no effect. Moving back, all these guys just failed their retreats. One significant thing over here is Burns moved back so he can try to recover next activation. The other significant thing is Getty tried to attack Siemens here with McLaws, and they failed. Unbelievable. They had a flank attack and just totally messed it. So, anyways, that's where we leave it. They still control the road. A little bit of swapping up here to try to recover next activation. So, with that, we move along to our next activation, which is going to be Couch. Alright, so Couch's units, working in tandem with Wilcox, are going to try to push up over here a little bit more and see what they can do to push back on there. So take a look at that and we'll be back with you. Okay, we have Couch's activation. Hancock and French teamed up with a coordinated advance and moved up their units here. French tried to attack here but was stopped by defensive fire. Otherwise, the French just moved back units to recover. Howard moved up on his own over here to take up some positions that French had moved back from. Not much has changed with the line with that because the attacks did not work, but hopefully we're positioned for the next activation to attack in there. So with that, moving on to the next activation, we come up with Pleasanton and the artillery. So let me take a look at that and be back with you. Okay, finished up with the Pleasanton artillery. Not much effect. A little bit of artillery and a little bit of movement. Just kind of repositioning on the east side of the river. And so we'll move on to the next one here. So the next one is, here we go, Longstreet and Lee. So as I was saying before, they are in a position up here that they need to actually counterattack. So we'll line those up for counterattacks, and I'll be back with you. Okay, coming back with the end of Longstreet and Lee's activation. Over here in the center, Anderson has moved up some more reinforcements. They were able to recover a couple units. A little exchange of artillery fire, but no effect. Ransom here, again holding the line, was able to fire. Excuse me, not fire, recover units over here. McLaws over here got a lucky shot and knocked out Edwards, or disordered Edwards' battery over here. So that gives them the chance to attack there, but they've got to push across here quite a bit. Also another plus over here. Let's see, where are we here? Up here, sorry. McLaws counterattacked both with Kershaw and Siemens and knocked back Getty out of here, retaking the house and house right in here and stabilizing the line up here. Meanwhile, just to the south, Hood is moving up his couple brigades of Benning and Law to provide some reinforcements for the counterattack over here. Pickett tried to counterattack against Newton. It was stopped. Corsu's brigade was stopped and pushed back and left basically where they started from. So with that, not a very successful Lee Longstreet activation, but they didn't lose ground and they did recover a few units, so that's actually pretty good. So next unit out is Couch. So we're back with Couch again. Okay, Couch's corps continued to try to push against Mary's Heights with limited success. Howard was able to break through up here. I don't know how long that will hold there with French's help. And Hancock tried to go against the combination of these two units here, but obviously you can see he failed. That would have been a nice breakthrough within there if they could. But other than that, they just kind of held their ground for there. That's their second activation, so they're pretty much done for the turn. Lee and Longstreet still have one activation left, so that could play into a factor later on. Okay, we come out with Jackson. is going to be our next. So we're going to look to the south side of the field now and see what Jackson's going to do. Jackson's attack here kind of is a little bit mixed, realizing that D.H. Hill, his initial shock troops here, quite a number of them were disordered here. They had to move back. Didn't quite have the force to push through, but they did capture a set of Meade's guns here with Colquitt's brigade and kind of broke through up there. But they positioned to try to set up for an attack on the Meade's other guns over here in this little salient that is developed up there. So that's going to be a little bit tricky for Meade to hold out, given that D.H. Hill and Early potentially could team up and attack over here. Meantime, A.P. Hill moved on the flank of Smith's corps back here and is threatening over here, at least blocking so that the other two can get over there. The other big news over here, we have Taliaferro moving up the road. Now he's in striking position to go after the Sturgis units here that are up on the road. So that could be pretty interesting for the next activation of Jackson's corps within there. So with that, we'll move on to the next chit, which is going to be Wilcox. So back from Wilcox's activation, not really too much happening over here. Wilcox still has a lot of disordered on here, a little bit of shuffling with the artillery, but basically just kind of held their ground as they tried to recover. But you can see many of them still are disordered. Of course, he couldn't recover. He tried to recover but failed. He tried to recover and failed. Same with these two units back over here. So kind of in a little bit of a predicament, giving chance to the Confederates to counterattack over here. So with that, that's Wilcox's second. So basically, the center division has completed their activation, and next one out is going to be Smith. So let me take a look at Smith, and we'll go from there. Okay, a little bit of success here for Smith, repositioning Brooks over here to attack the flank of Siemens, who was right in here. Were successful at getting over the ridge line and pushing them back and disordering them on there, and that was able to get a unit up into here. So that puts more pressure back in the Confederate center back over here. Newton reshuffled here a little bit, tried to recover, couldn't recover units, but that's okay. And then Howe shifted a few units. Their artillery was able to knock out one of Robinson's units. Robinson B was disordered twice in the artillery attack, or a second time in the artillery attack, and they were withdrawn. So a little bit of success there for them, but not a lot. So on to the next one, which is going to be Jackson again. So that's going to be Jackson's second. Okay, coming back with Jackson's second activation. Had pretty good success up here to the south, or down here to the south. First off, down here, Hill's units teamed up with Early's units to attack Meade and Reynolds' corps up in here. They scored a big hit on Meade here by knocking him back and displacing two units, which were ultimately lost. Part of Gibbons and Doubleday's units were withdrawn off the board over there. So that was a significant hit. Also, they've disordered these two units here and closed this gap up here. Now, they did pay a little bit of a price. Atkinson's brigade was stopped over here, and these disordered units couldn't recover back over in there. Meanwhile, A.P. Hill, again, providing a left flank against Smith and trying to drive a wedge in between here while they hammer away at the First Corps, moved over, and also moved over some more units back over in here to cover for Hood, who's going to pull them out and being a second reserve unit to come up and attack back in the center over here. Meanwhile, Tolliver has got into position over here to attack. Jones is right up against Sturgis at the moment. The other units are stacking up behind him, and others are flanking over here. So hopefully in the next turn, we should see some action along the Telegraph Road, excuse me, with counterattacks in there. So that's it with Jackson, making some progress on the counterattacks as the Union command kind of falters a little bit. The next one here is Lee and Longstreet. So let me get them going. Okay, with Lee and Longstreet, again, a little bit of attacking, not much, more positioning going forward here. Anderson over here, pull back some units to recover next turn. Same thing over here, just reinforcing some units, trying to shoot at Union troops with artillery, with McLaws. Attacking Burns, did get a disorder on them. The rest of the units up here really kind of stayed static for the moment, just kind of holding the line. The bigger item was over here, where we had McLaws kind of pulling back again, Cabell firing at them, disordering them. So now we've got a line of disordered units here along the Telegraph roads, lining up with Taliver's counterattack and potentially Hood joining in with that as well. Meanwhile, Pickett tried to recover a little bit in there, but really didn't try anything too much on the offensive within there. As I said before, Hood swinging back over here has more reserve to try to push on there because there's only 2 more turns after this. So hopefully they may be able to push them back, or they may not be. Next activation is Reynolds. So Reynolds is in tough shape up here, as I've said all along. He's been taking the brunt of D.H. Hill's attack and hasn't been able to counterattack too much here. We'll see what we can do with him, but he's lost a lot of units, as I said in the last turn. A couple of artillery units and a brigade worth of units from there. Okay, I think it was really simple for Reynolds. His corps is really in shambles. We need to pull back, give ground for recovery. Hopefully can create a line up here where we can recover 1 or 2 units. I'm not sure. It's going to be tough. Smith is probably going to have to swing back here as well. We may need to investigate bringing across the 3rd Corps to shore up the 1st Corps next turn as well to try to hold off. So we'll see how it goes. But that's probably the best move that can be made at the moment with them, I should say. And then we look for the last chit, which is just going to be the artillery and Pleasanton, which I think will be pretty straightforward here in terms of what they're going to attack. Probably these guys will attack up here, and maybe a little bit of movement over there. But let me do that and get back with you. Okay, so we finished with the artillery. A little bit of effect over here. Another one of D.H. Hill's units was knocked out by artillery, but the rest are still in pretty decent shape to the north. There was one of the units up in here. So they're still in decent shape. So that was the end of the activations. This is where we stand, with it. The last thing I need to do right here is to roll for some units. Let me see if I can show you over here that are in the withdrawn box. We've got 2 here that are going to come forward. We've got 2 Union and 3 Confederate that are going to try to come out. So going with the Confederates, top to bottom here will be a 6 for Rhodes Brigade. Roll a 4, so they will come back out. We'll roll a Cobb for McLaws. He'll need a 5 or less. Rolls a 9. He is actually eliminated. So that's the first Confederate unit eliminated. Kershaw A rolls an 8. He is also eliminated. All right, so that takes care of the Confederates. We'll move those over here. Last 2 over here, we've got Meade. He needs a 5 or less. Rolls an 8. He's eliminated. And we've got French. He is a 5. Rolls another 8. He is also eliminated. So a lot of eliminations here for the recovery phase for this turn. Okay, so there we have it. Coming back over here to show you the big picture of what's going on. Right in here, this is going to be the key area of attack for the next turn. Confederates have moved up reinforcements to try to push them off the Telegraph Road. That's the victory hexes. They're also pushing from Jackson's front back over here, right in here as well. Pushing against First Corps, which has heavily been depleted. And Smith's Corps is going to feel the brunt of it next. So they'll try to push in there in the next turn, which will be 1715 or 515. And we've just got 2 more turns to go with this. So it's going to be quite interesting, particularly with the victory points up here on the Telegraph Road, as well as pushing back here against the Union, trying to get to these bridges up here and provide some retreat for the or cut off retreat for the Union troops. So if you're watching all the way through, thanks for watching. We'll be back with you for, again, turn 6. That'll be the 1715, 515 turn, and go from there. Thanks for watching.